This mutation is called the League of Vermillions, and it is being played on the Vermillion Problem. We have two mutators active. We have Heroes from the Storm, and we have Evasive Maneuvers. So, the Heroes from the Storm heroes do not get the Evasive Maneuvers buff, which does make this a little bit better to deal with, but I want to talk about this mutation, or this mutator, in a little bit more detail. The Heroes from the Storm mutator, because it's only really been seen on a very few past weekly mutations, and that is because it is very difficult to deal with. Now this mutation, or this mutator, basically lets Amon's attack waves have a potential of spawning a certain number of heroes that accompany them. And these heroes will be heroes like Zagara, it'll be heroes like Garrigan, Nova, and they will have a lot of the abilities that the players have. So Nova will have an ability like Nuke, but Kerrigan also has an ability called Apocalypse, and if you've ever played the campaign for Starcraft, you have probably seen that ability being used to wreck your face. So this is what the players will be up against, and the way the mechanics behind this is a little bit complicated. There is a certain kind of pool that gets incremented by 1 every certain amount of time that elapses through the mission, and every time an attack wave spawns, it checks that pool to make sure that that pool is not 0, and if the pool is not 0, it'll spawn a certain number of heroes. You can check out Starcraft2coop.com's mutator page, and it'll tell you a little bit more about how this mutator works. So let's have a look at the masteries while the game goes on. We have Phoenix Energy Regeneration, we have the AI Vitality, and then we have the 10-20 split into the Chrono Boost and the Starting Supply Mastery. Tychus going for the Sure Grenade cooldown, the Tri-Outlaw attack speed, and the Medevac cooldown as well. You can see that Tychus has gone for Crooked Sam first, and I believe the intent here will be to just disable the heroes that will spawn during the first starting attack waves. So Tychus is already jumping in right now, and he's going to start working his way on clearing this expansion. Phoenix, on the other hand, there is an attack wave now that has spawned, and we have Taldaran out as well here that will be able to deal with this first attack wave. And you can see Tychus is also getting back into position, gets his butt burnt a little bit by the lava, but that is fine. He needs to get into position now to be able to deal with his first attack wave, because this first attack wave, even though is I think accompanied by Raynor, who's not really a very strong hero, is just really deadly. If you're not paying attention, you end up losing your units here. So we have the attack wave over here, we have Raynor as well, and now he gets stunned by the Shredder, by the grenade for Crooked Sam, or the demolition charge, and now these commanders are ready to start clearing out this next side, or this expansion. Now, do note that this game is played a little bit differently. Phoenix will not be building a full-on army, he will be going for a champion AI build here. So that is one thing that will be a little bit different. You can see the invasive maneuvers being a little bit annoying, messing with the AI as well, but all should be okay. Tychus will be able to take advantage of the expansion. Phoenix probably not, so it might be a 1 base here for Phoenix and a 2 base build for Tychus. Tychus might even be able to go for 3 bases, but I don't know if that's what their intent is throughout the course of this game. We have the first Legionnaire out. This Legionnaire will also be converted eventually to Caldalis, and I think all should be good. So far, the first attack wave has been handled reasonably okay. No fatalities so far, so this game is going really well for these commanders. But as you can see, the first hero was Raynor, and as the game progresses, more and more heroes will start getting they will start accompanying these attack waves, and that's where the mission becomes really difficult. Raynor is a reasonably easy hero to deal with, but once you have heroes like Zagara and Kerrigan and Nova, that is where it becomes really nasty. So we can see that Phoenix is sitting in the Cyberus Arbiter suit and getting ready to deal with this next attack. And we have a bunch of War Prisms as well. I think this is a drop attack, so I don't think there is I actually don't know what happens. I don't think there's a hero that accompanies a drop attack. So this is one of the good things that is also available for these commanders. Now we have Warbringer out, and I think pretty much all these guys are out and good to go, except for Chlorarian, and it's gonna be a while before he comes out. But now we have the next set of crystals that have spawned, so these commanders are gonna make their way. Tychus on here, gonna go and deal with this side, and Phoenix going to try and deal with the left-hand side as well. He has to be, again, a little bit careful because sometimes there's an attack wave that'll spawn near the top and move down here. But I think Fenix is already getting ready to start pushing in, and that is not for a bad reason because he is actually really advanced now. And you can see the strength. This is one thing I also want to draw your attention to. I've seen a lot of people just go for mass carriers as Fenix. Fenix has 5 AI champions right now. He doesn't even have Clolarian out, and just see how quickly he's able to push through and just cut through that enemy base without any kind of resistance. His champions are really powerful, and it's very important to try and get these champions out as quickly as possible. You can see Fenix just completely wrecking through this enemy base. Tychus over here, Crooked Sam. One thing to also note is Tychus's build has Tychus and Crooked Sam. He has no healing, and he has to be very careful with how he's utilizing his abilities. So one of the things that Tychus can use is these medevac platforms to get the extra heal, but when you are playing this kind of build, you have to also be careful you're not taking a lot of unnecessary damage. And pushing into here, there is a Hybrid Dominator, which can deal a lot of damage to Tychus, and you probably do not want to utilize that just yet, because the Lava Surge will be coming up anytime soon, and the attack wave will also be spawning, and Tychus will probably need to have an extra amount of HP just to deal with that. So you can see he's already starting to clear, and now we have an attack wave that is moving here, and this looks like a regular attack wave, so Fenix will probably try and get into position as well so that he can start clearing out, and Tychus cleaning up the rest of these probes. These probes did nothing. Press F for those probes. There's another one that's popped up as well, but now the attack wave is coming up on here. I think it's going to be moving towards Tychus's main base, so these commanders will have to try and get into position, and it will be accompanied by a hero because this is a ground attack wave. So we can see now this is Dahaka, and he spawned his 2 buddies over here to try and help him, and now Nova has casted a nuke, and this is where the problems start. Unfortunately, Tychus gets caught out by Nova's nuke, and this is why this is so deadly. And yes, Nova has a regular Nova nuke. She does not have the Ghost nuke. The Ghost nuke has like a 5-10 second channeling time. No, this Nova has like a 2-second channeling time. It's the same nuke that your Nova hero has, and you can see how deadly these heroes are when they have their abilities ready. Dahaka has, I think, a Yoink ability as well. He has something very similar to Devour, but the Devour doesn't actually one-shot you. I think it stuns you for about 5 seconds. So this is why the Heroes from the Storm is such a difficult mutator, and this is also why reducing the difficulty of the weekly mutation doesn't stop you from getting wrecked. So you can see there's a nuke here coming down from Tychus. Tychus has basically had enough. There's Nova, there's Dahaka, and there's Karax, and Nova is already casting a nuke on the side, and unfortunately, Andar is going to go and get smoked by this, but he uses a solar flare and completely ends up wiping out Nova. But this is not the end of these troubles that these commanders are going to face, because there is another attack wave that is coming up, and I don't know again if this is a drop. Okay, this is a drop attack, so that's actually good for them, but unfortunately this is a ground attack wave, and it is accompanied by Zagara, and Tal'Daran has to get out of the way because she has spawned her hunter killers, and you can also see that she has a Baneling barrage. She also has a roach drop, which, speaking of which, is over here right now, and you can see the amount of damage output that is being dealt from this. There are a lot of roaches, and there's a lot of casualties right now, and these roaches also have the evasive maneuvers buff, which is actually kind of funny, but there we go. So far, there is a little bit of chaos, and I think on this side, it's just a storm. I think all should be, I don't think there's any heroes over here, so eventually these things will end up getting cleaned up, but there have been a lot of losses so far. 1 Tychus, 1 Rattlesnake has gone down, and just take a look at the carnage right now on this. But remember, this game is going to be a meme kind of build. These commanders are only using... Okay, there was Zeratul over there, which is why there was a few issues for these commanders. But remember, this is kind of a meme build. They're only using their heroic units. They're not using any of their other units here. And now we have a small drop attack as well. Stasis comes down to the Stalkers. Just keep them at bay for a while Phoenix starts cleaning up whatever is left. Tychus, Crooked Sam on this side, and the upgrades are coming up for these commanders as well. They need to try and get their upgrades, try and just increase the amount of damage output that they have. And notice here again, Fenix I don't think is going for any of his armor upgrades, because the armor upgrades don't really provide any value. Now given that, because Fenix is only using their AI champions, it might be okay to just go and get the armor upgrades and the shield upgrades as well, even though it's not really going to be that impactful, because you're really taking a lot of skill damage from the attack waves and the enemy bases. But I think I have a video out on when to get the armor upgrades also on this channel. It's in the general tips section, so if you want to know when you should be getting armor upgrades, that is probably going to be very it's going to be useful if you are interested in optimizing your co-op gameplay. So we have 2 crystals that are being claimed. There's going to be one more over here as well. Tychus also getting into position. There is a Schwer grenade and a storm comes down, but there is also now the heals. And once Tychus starts to get his advanced armor upgrades, the heals from Rattlesnake is going to be very useful in keeping him alive. Talendar now uses his Cyberus Arbiter suit. I think he wants to stasis that Hybrid Dominator. Yeah, there we go. So there's a stasis on the Hybrid Dominator, just keeping that out of the way for a while these commanders end up clearing out. And one of the other things that Tychus can do is use Crooked Sam to drop a Demolition Charge onto this Hybrid Dominator, and that Demolition Charge will end up stunning the Dominator. Fortunately, no Demolition Charge onto that, but these commanders have basically completely cleared out this other base. But now there is an attack wave over here, and this is going to be a problem because it is also going to be accompanied by some heroes. So now we have Kerrigan, Artanis, and Tychus on this side. Kerrigan is probably one of the deadliest heroes over here because she has an ability called Apocalypse, and that deals an insane amount of damage. That's the ability that I was talking about there. So a few storms coming up as well. Kerrigan is doing okay with Artanis, and this is just going to be a complete slugfest. There is no Demolition Charge, unfortunately, on Kerrigan just yet, but I think eventually this is going to end up going down. Artanis also is one of the more annoying ones. The Demolition Charge on Kerrigan, Kerrigan goes down. Artanis is probably one of the more annoying heroes to deal with. Doesn't really deal a lot of damage, but he has this respawn ability that just every single, I can't remember what the cooldown is. Check the Starcraft2co-op.com's mutator page. It has, but there is a cooldown for that ability, and that ability is really annoying because the cooldown is, it's not, I can't remember, it's like 30 seconds or something? So every 30 seconds, if you try and kill Artanis, he casts that blast and resets to full HP and shields. It's really, really annoying. It makes him really tanky, very difficult to kill off. But so far, these commanders are doing okay. They have everything pretty much under control. And we'll see what the next plan is here. I guess just recuperating right now. Just building up his forces, making sure all the macro is up to scratch. And I think, yeah, Fenix is doing okay as well. Total losses, we have 3, I don't know how, okay, those 3 SCVs probably got picked up from here, from this expansion. But you can see just how scary and how terrifying these heroes are. If you're not really paying attention, you just get completely wrecked by these heroes. And it's basically from these attack waves. Tychus now uses medevac airlift to try and provide some support for his Phoenix ally. And Phoenix is now ready to start pushing in again. One of the annoying things is these High Templars and their storms combined with the evasive maneuvers makes it a little bit tricky to pick them off one by one, but this set of crystals have been spawned. I think these commanders are just gonna, yeah, they're just gonna start pushing up this ramp now. Have to be careful, there are a few disruptors. Nice focus fire down to the disruptor, picks that off pretty much instantly. And the rest of these disruptors end up getting feared by Sirius's turrets, so those disruptors are pretty much gone. There is a demolition charge onto this hybrid behemoth, and I think, yeah, the rest of these, I think, is there a hybrid dominator or was that picked off? I think the hybrid dominator was also picked off here. There are, I think, 5 or 6 hybrid dominators on this mission, so it's very useful to have Phoenix with a to have Crooked Sam with a demolition charge, or to have some kind of thing that drains energy, so feedback or ghost EMP is very, very useful. There's another hybrid dominator here, I don't know. Okay, there's a stasis on to this hybrid dominator to keep it out of the way for a while, but Tychus will probably have to try and come up a little bit closer with Crooked Sam to try and cast a demolition charge onto that dominator. Yes, demolition charge onto the dominator ends up stunning the dominator, and that is pretty much GG for the hybrid. And now we have Cannonball out for Tychus, and this is a tech choice for Tychus. He knows he needs a lot of tanking ability, and he needs to try and deal with this, and there's a nuke that's coming down onto his army. He uses the medevac airlift to try and dodge that nuke. Unfortunately, Artanis just completely ravaging his base over here, and some of the SCVs. Now Cannonball as well is going to be able to have to try and deal with some of this. Garax casting a lot of cannons here, lots of Kaidaran monoliths, so we have now another nuke that is being dropped, and there is again a lot of issues. Okay, that was Odin's nuke here, so that basically ends up cleaning out a lot of the units here. You can see now Artanis being a very, very annoying and tanky commander here. You see how much HP he's just able to soak up. And there we go, Artanis is now finally down for the count. Total losses, unfortunately 10 SCVs did go down because Artanis started ravaging Tychus's base, but it's not really too terrible. there is now another attack wave that's coming up. Again, this attack wave will be accompanied, and we can see the upgrades coming down for Cannonball. Cannonball is going to be the one in front that's just going to try and soak up all this damage out here. We have one Kerrigan, which is okay. Kerrigan is really deadly. That Apocalypse ability does so much damage, but I think Kerrigan is going to get Demolition charged and just completely focus fire down the whole attack wave. They just ignore the attack wave. They just focus fire down Kerrigan, and Kerrigan ends up going down for the count. Now we have 4 crystals that are available on the map. So these commanders are going to start working the way. There's one random disruptor on the side, but I think it should be okay. There is one hybrid dominator as well in this location, so again, these commanders will have to try and deal with that without taking too heavy losses. So there's a hybrid dominator now casting its Plasma Blast onto Talendar, but Talendar doesn't really care very much. There's another storm that goes down from the hybrid dominator, but now focus fire down, and the hybrid dominator gets blown up into tiny little bits. Now a few more disruptors here, trying to get a little bit of a good shot, but unfortunately pushes a little bit too close to these commanders, and they end up focus firing down the disruptor. One more Tempest using evasive maneuvers. Fortunately, that Tempest again does not last against the strength of these commanders, and now there is a lot of harass escorts over here that are trying to defend these crystals, but again, these commanders combined with their heal from Rattlesnake, these units are basically invincible right now. There's one last crystal spawn here as well, but that is a little bit on the high ground, so these guys will probably have to try and fight in a little bit of an unfavored position, but I think it's all okay. Tychus, okay, there we go, there's another hybrid dominator. Again, demolition charge by Cryptic Sam, almost one-shots a dominator, but that gets cleaned up by Fenix completely. And we have another bunch of crystals. I don't know why these guys are just sitting over here so far. I think, yeah, okay, so they're going to be moving back now. There's one last crystal spawn as well. And I think all seems to be okay. Now we have the lava surge coming up, and we'll see where the next attack will be spawning from. These crystals are going to be held for now. I think we're very close to the end of the... Yeah, so we have 16 out of 20 crystals, so I don't know. I think Phoenix wants to try and get Molten Cell, but I don't think he's going to be able to reach it in time. Molten Cell will probably end up despawning before Talendar actually gets into position, but we'll see if they're able to kill it off. I think they might want to try and just get it, but this game is pretty much won right now. Gonna try and take it out. I don't know if it's gonna be okay. So yeah, there is the attack wave that has spawned, and there is also a storm cannonball jumps right into the middle, ends up stunning that attack wave. But yeah, this attack wave pretty much gets completely cleaned up. I don't know if they're gonna wait for it. They can't wait for it. It's not really a big deal. They've basically got everything under control. There's no chance they're gonna be losing this mission. So this last crystal is gonna get turned in right now, and those are all the crystals turned in against the onslaught of Amon's heroes, and that is GG.